There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And just before we begin, this is Shirley Joffe and Stacey Bylery. And today we're going to talk about how to actually shift your body into a positive space while we're on this journey of life where all sort of stuff happens. And especially in this space, there's often, you're constantly working to release negative stuff or things that are not, really a great experience, but how can we actually have a positive experience at the same time, and is that possible? So I'm just going to share this. I'm just going to go in here and just do some shares. So Stacey, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that it's all about suppression, if you suppress it or not. So if you're feeling something, just feel it. And let it come out so it's not pressured into your body and you deal with it 10 years later. And also in what that can cause, dealing with heavy stuff in the beginning of your life, whether it's a childhood experience, whatever it may be, will actually prevent you from feeling joy when it actually does happen.
Yeah.
When you have genuine joy staring at you in the face, I don't have receptors for that, so it doesn't feel right. Or it may not be what I've experienced, so that doesn't feel right. So I guess tip number one is practice feeling your emotions no matter what they are. So you're open to figuring out how to actually step through the emotions versus piling them up in your body, your muscular structure, or wherever you're holding your stress response.
Yeah, that's so true. Especially if you've been brought up in an environment where either joy wasn't practiced, it was a harsh life, it was very, you've got to do this and this and this, and it was almost survive life rather than live life.
Yeah.
Then those receptors definitely will potentially either be suppressed or they just won't be switched on. And both Stacey and I are theta healing instructors, and it's one of the things that we work on is, often you'll hear people will say, would you like to know what it feels like to feel joy? And then you go ahead and you say yes, but your body has no reference for that. Your body has no reference for joy. So you can download joy till the cows come home. It's like bringing in a foreign language for the body, not for the being, because the being knows all of this. So the being is intelligent, the spirit is intelligent, but the body doesn't know how that is. And even the mind has been wired to bypass joy.
Yeah, or it feels really foreign. So it's okay to sit here and do nothing. It's okay to sit here and watch a movie or laugh. What I'm thinking about is I was really loud as a kid at some points in my life. Not all of my life, but at some points I was loud. And sometimes it would be like, let's be quiet, be quiet. When I'm thinking about it now is like, oh well, there should have been time for me to be loud and rambunctious and all that. And sometimes I had that, sometimes I didn't. But think about it, if you're always told to sit there, act nice, be quiet, instead of like just the carefree, joyous self. Yeah. I mean, when you've got 3 kids running around, yeah, it's kind of different,
Yes and no. I mean, I've got they're very, very different characters. I've got the older one who can be quite serious, and that is a cat's tail. Quite serious. Middle one who is quite quiet, but given the opportunity, just wants to talk a lot and communicate. And then the young one, when you're saying loud, I mean, like really loud. It's like a person being stuck on the loudest volume all the time. She doesn't know what quiet is. And being that affects me I'm quite sensitive to noise, that can be really difficult. And on the other side, like you're saying, I think it's so important for her to be able to have that space to be loud, to not to have to change to fit in with others. And yet she's only 10 now, to then grow to have that emotional maturity to know when it's going to affect someone else negatively, so that she is able to not tone it down, but just be compassionate and respectful of the other person. So, you know, she stays as she is with emotional acuity and intelligence. And it is a balancing act. So, and I don't know, but if you found this, has it been difficult for you? I know for me, my experience, it has, that when that happens when you're young, even though there's something inside of you that knows that you were suppressed, it's almost like it changes the pathways, that you don't actually know what you would have been had that not been suppressed. And there's that foreignness.
Yeah. And by no means are we saying that like our childhoods weren't fun, or, you know, we didn't have fun times.
Yeah, of course.
It's more like sometimes, you know, if you have parents that aren't emotionally mature, or, you know, they just don't know how to deal with it, they're having a bad day, sit down, be quiet. I want to like go take a nap, watch TV, that sort of thing. What that does is it does rewire the pathways to like, for like, I need to be this way. And the way I feel it now, sometimes it's like a subconscious redirect where you don't realize you're actually doing that, where you're like avoiding the it's hilarious. It's like avoiding the center of the Tootsie Pop kind of thing. It's like the good part, avoiding the good parts in life, because you just don't know. You don't know what that feels like, and it's like that feels foreign, that sort of thing. And that's mainly what I meant by that. It was really interesting in the fact of when I had my own experiences, I noticed that I was like, you know what? This feels uncomfortable. And sometimes it's good to feel uncomfortable, and sometimes it's not. You know?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
yesterday in your life, in your live and all that, you were saying something of being uncomfortable with the choice of, I think it was your going on your retreat or not. Was
Yeah.
it? And that is the uncomfortableness was a message versus,
Yeah.
you know, the breakthrough.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it can be tricky to actually recognize those. And it took me a good, I think it lasted about a week and a half where I was in that it was like a feeling of dread, thinking of it, you know, going on in the background of my mind, as, you know, because I hadn't made any decision, no flights had been booked, you know, nothing had actually happened. And that's, I think, where I got to, is like, what is this feeling going on? Because nothing's actually happened yet, you know.
Right.
So yeah, thinking about it as is this something that I want to do, need to do for growth, for and in my case, it's my birthday. I want some fun. I want some joy, some fun. I want celebration. And this just didn't feel like that. It may have been a really great learning experience, yes, but it wasn't the appropriate timing. And that, I think, is also the other thing, is the timing of things, to know when it's a message.
Yeah, the timing of things. Now, what that brings up for me was like if you're not used to communicating with people, maybe like pushing yourself out there a little bit, being a little uncomfortable with,
Mm,
going and saying, hi, how are you? How are you doing? That sort of thing. And the same thing with joy. When practicing joy, you sometimes you gotta be like, it's okay to leave some work at work right now. Like you didn't get it all done. Okay, it'll be
yeah.
there tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, is what I run into now, is like the work will be here tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
and I think from that's really pertinent for me, because when I was in corporate, um, there always seemed to I would not leave the office till like 8 o'clock in the evening most days.
right,
And had I at that point had that thought, that outlook, the work will be here tomorrow, I would have probably had a much more balanced life, and I probably wouldn't have burnt out like I did, because I would get there at 7, wouldn't leave till 8, was still doing bits and pieces because it was a global role in the evening, and it was continuous. It continued. There wasn't an end point.
yeah,
So having that the work will be there tomorrow would have
mhm,
done, I think, two things. It would have given me a little bit of downtime, respite. My mind could just
right,
chill. But secondly, what the other thing which I think is also important was to better prioritize and look for the things that are going to make the difference, rather than just ongoing busy work.
right. And it's kind of like, I forget what that rule is. If the task will expand to the time you give it.
Yeah,
I forget what that is. But
it's the nature abhors a vacuum. So whatever space you give, it'll get filled.
right, and the same goes with work. You can have as much work as you want, and then you'll have an imbalanced life, of course. But
And there's actually a neat thing which I learned a while ago from one of my mentors, who so this is for anyone here who's listening, who runs a service-based or hourly model, or coaching, healing, whatever, any of those sort of things. She actually said to me, mark out within your diary the slots that you intend to work in,
mm,
and not just mark them out, practice being in your workspace at those times, and inevitably the clients will show up to fill those times. If you have no space in your life, if you've got no clients and you don't have space because you've got no clients, you're doing other things during the time that you would normally see clients, the clients aren't going to come because there's no space for them. So decide how much time you are going to allot, and ring fence it. And it does work. It does work.
hmm, I'm going to use that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So what happens when I've squeezed, I've made smaller the amount of time. And what that's also done is that's made me look at how and what I want to spend my time on within my business. It's not perfect by any means, guys. It's not perfect. but that's what I've started to do. But it also, I've realized that currently my priorities are spaced in different places. So,
Mm,
and again, being okay with that. The work will be there. The work's not going anywhere. Yeah.
no, the work's not going anywhere. And and the same thing with, I would say the same thing with fun, is like you want to
Yeah.
affect your body and really give your body some respite. Practice the joy, practice the fun, practice going out and doing whatever feels good.
Mm.
um, um Something that feels really good to me at some points are like, just asking, oh, what do you want to do today?
Yeah.
Just the creator to your being. What do you want to do today? And just follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And sometimes what seems like a thought of like, oh no, I want to go do that, but oh, that might be boring. Okay, well, guess what? That second thought is your mind
Yes.
going, okay, go do this, or go skydiving. And oh no, you might get hurt. Well, go skydiving if you really want to.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit of an extremist though. So,
But it doesn't have to be, it doesn't even have to be that extreme. And I really practiced this over this birthday, because it occurred to me I'm only going to be 50 once. And just like you're any other age, just once. It's not like any different. But it was very much what the stuff that I should do versus the stuff that I really want to do. And people have been asking me for the last couple of days, what did you do on your birthday? And when I sort of think back over, and we did like 2 days, full weekend, and I've delineated that 50 is the whole year, therefore I will celebrate and party the whole year. And as with every other year, so birthday no longer is just on one day. But when I actually looked through what I actually did, and I feel so happy. I mean, I feel really, really happy and joyful and very much loved over that weekend. And I didn't do anything that was like luxuriously expensive, out of this world, weird. It was very, very much the things that I love to do. And I talked about it on the live, like on Friday morning, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Friday morning we did the presents things, because we do it on the birthday. And most of the presents that like my family had organized hadn't actually arrived yet, because Australia seems to be the back end of nowhere and things do not arrive in the post. So I already knew that if anything was going to arrive, it may not arrive on that day. So that's not a big deal. And but what was so lovely for me was that they had taken a lot of time and effort. Bearing in mind, I was awake till 3 a.m. So someone must have got up at like 6 a.m. to do this. They had decorated the whole house. They had not just written happy birthday in a card, but really, lots of really lovely words. So you can already hear one of my love languages, which is words of affirmation. But really, really lovely words, and just being present with me. And then on Saturday and Sunday, not pushing me to go out and party, which isn't something that I wish to do. They just got a couple of friends. We don't have that many good friends here because we're not in the UK. Couple of friends. We ordered in like takeout. We played some games, did some karaoke. And to me, that was perfect. That was just perfect. I was in my pajamas the whole evening. I didn't dress up. PJs all evening, and really just allowed me to relax. Now, that's not everybody's cup of tea. And that's the point, is that, and it wasn't me. I don't take credit for that. This was my family that did this. And they obviously know me so well now that they ignored all of the shoulds and really thought, what does Shirley really, really enjoy? What would relax her? What would make her feel happy? What would relieve any stresses or, any pressure? And they did that. It was lovely. And same on Sunday, same kind of thing on Sunday. I just went to the cinema, which I love. I mean, for me, the cinema is actually a really great outing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So
and practicing being in your own space with that is like whatever you want to do. What comes up for me is like there was a bunch of people pleasing in like Western society. Like
Oh
you've
my
got to
goodness,
make your
yeah.
boss happy, and you've got to, your parents happy, make your parents proud. Okay, well, what about you?
Oh, do you know what? That my husband printed out these sheets. This
Mm,
is the best quiz. If anyone's doing a birthday, this is the best quiz to do on your own birthday. Get someone to print out all these things. And if you're doing like games nights, this was fantastic. All these questions about the birthday person, which means the birthday person can never get it wrong, ever. You are completely right on your own birthday because it's questions about you. So, and one of the ones right at the bottom of one of the lists was actually, what are you most proud of? What is the birthday girl or birthday person most proud of? And I didn't have an answer. I was like, I don't know. I'm proud of so many things.
yeah,
You
and
know,
and that's very much you though. Is like you can't pick just one thing.
no, that is me. That is totally me. I can't pick one thing. Can you pick one thing? If you were asked, what are you most proud of? Is there one thing?
I mean, this may sound cliche, but sometimes it's being proud of oneself. Is like there's a whole bunch of things, but who's at the center of that? It's not a self-centered way of like
No.
a lot of ways. Some people sell ourselves short of like how much value we provide, or how much we matter to other people, that sort of thing. A, a lot of us sell ourselves short and be like, oh well, it wasn't that hard, that was not so easy, or for this person or that person, but it was easy for me, so for me that wasn't such a big deal. But classic example of that is, have you ever tried to teach your like great grandmother how to use a smartphone?
Don't forget great grandmother, try mum.
Right,
Try
exactly,
mother.
right. So
Oh my goodness.
so what is very easy, like, oh yeah, you just press this button and this button and this button and it happens. So easy for us, not so easy for them because they don't have that. So
That is so
what I'm
hilarious.
trying to, what I'm trying to get at is your zone of genius is
Mm,
so much different than anybody else's, that the value that you provide, or the value that you exude is much different than everybody else's. So a
mm.
lot of times we're not proud of ourselves for you know without you that wouldn't have been done in the same way.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
yeah.
have been done as good, or that sort of thing. Whatever word you want to put there. So
Mm,
I guess I would have to pick, if I absolutely had to pick one thing, I'd be like, I need to be proud of myself, because
yeah, yeah.
you know is that
And that's a
that's
real big, yeah. If people can practice that, that just brings in a lot of self-love
yeah, and people aren't used to
and
that
esteem.
sometimes. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, you go back to these receptors that you're not used to that it are foreign.
yeah, and you're worth it, you
Yeah.
know. It's like we have different skill sets. I think we've said a couple of times in a couple of these podcasts that we
Mm,
do some of the same things, but we practice them entirely different.
yeah. Yeah. And how, for me, that's really fun. So you get all
Yeah,
these
that's
people, and I hear this a lot in the online space. Oh, there's too many of these people. It's too saturated. There's too, there's no point doing that because there's so many people doing it. But no one does it like you.
right. Nobody does it like you. What's hilarious is there's two things. Okay, so I went to the World of Coke for my birthday. That was
Yeah, that
pretty
looks
cool.
awesome.
That's in Atlanta, Georgia. You could say, oh yeah, the world is saturated with soda, we don't need another soda. And then you look in there, there's 100 different flavors in the Coke Freestyle machine. one where you can pick all the flavors and things. It's like, and then they're coming with new flavors all the time. So like, but each one of those is unique. So is it saturated? Is it not? But you are unique. I think what I strive to teach the students that come to me, or teach the sometimes the clients that come to me, is like, it's no matter what you're doing, like there's quite a few theta healers around, right? There's a lot of them, but
Yeah.
there's people that do it just like by the letter, and there's the people that, you know, kind of let it flow with their own. I'm not talking about doing their own thing entirely, but you know, just with their own unique flow. And that's basically what I like to do is, you know, I'm not gonna like, okay, we need to do da, 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 da. We've reached the end of the list. But the most fantastic things come when it just comes right out of the middle of nowhere. So, but and how do you get your body in sync with your way of doing things on all levels is to really practice being at ease, practice being in joy, practice being in a way that's right for you and not someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do. We get people up into this source energy space, going through the higher self, which is not like cluttered with everybody else's stuff. And from there, by being there more of the time, you have the opportunity to feel that joy, to feel that love. And from that ease space, things are easy. Things become easy. I've been practicing it. So I took you and Creator one of the theta healing classes on my birthday. So when I was talking to people here out here in Australia, you know, what are you going to do for your birthday? I'm going to go on a course. And they just look at me as if I'm a bit mad. What they actually didn't realize is one of my best friends is actually taking the course, and 3 of my other best friends are participating in the course. So I just get to be in a 2-day love party, essentially, is what I looked at it, a 2-day love party. And I mean, it really was beautiful, but it retuned me. It, like, you know, sometimes you need tuning up. You can drop out of this so easily. Even when you practice regularly, sometimes it just takes a little bit of tune up. And that's what I feel that it did for me, is it tuned me back up to that space of love, joy, clarity. Actually, it cleared up a lot of confusion for me. And, you know, really focusing on how I live the coming time that is there.
Yeah, and like I said, is being uncomfortable in the space of doing something new is different than being uncomfortable when like your body is not ready for this, like you said yesterday.
Yeah.
So being in a space of awe and wonder and doing new things is good too. And also, yeah, you're right, getting your tune up, it's fantastic when you get a tune up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, cars get a tune up, they get serviced every year. You do that for your items. So hey, you go to a spa to maybe have a massage. You go and do, if you're a woman, you might go and do your nails or do your hair, and these are all little tune-ups. So if you're doing those sort of things, why not tune up your energy?
Yeah. And sometimes it's just sitting in the space of just being happy now.
Yeah.
I think in one of previous conversations, we talked about consumerism. It's like consumerism is in effect has this never be happy sort of thing.
Yeah.
So basically sit in the contentment of, I really do have some great things right now.
Mm. Mm.
Which sometimes that can be more difficult to see on the outset because it's always in front of you.
Yeah. I remember speaking with my daughter, who has suffered with depression and various things as a teen in this bit of a mad world at the moment, and growing through the mad world. And she said to me, "Mummy, how come you're..." So first of all, she thinks I'm ADHD because I randomly look at things and go, "Oh, that's pretty," in the middle of conversations. Sometimes that is actually a tactic sometimes, so I do use it. But equally, it's that looking at different things in different ways. And we talked about gratitude because I'd been banging on at her saying, you need to do a gratitude practice. And then it occurred to me while we were having this conversation, maybe she doesn't know what that feels like. I'm telling her to do this, but she's really struggling. So maybe it needs to be simplified for her. And we spoke about, she said, "Well, how do you do it, Mum?" And I just said, I just look at anything and everything and think, what could I be grateful for in this? Like, what could I be? Not I am, but what could I be? And then we were doing the most random things, like, picking out the garbage bin, or like the paving slab, the most mundane things, the table. And it just starts the brain looking for things in a different way, because our minds are wired to look for problems, wired to look at the things to fix. They're not necessarily wired, and we have to do this ourselves, to look for things that are good.
Yeah.
And things to be grateful for. So we worked through this, and I said to her, for the next few days, I want you to pick the most random things that you've never looked at before. Like, I don't know, this empty cup of hot chocolate, which is all dirty because it's empty. And, what could I be grateful for as it is? So not like going, "Oh, yes, that gave me a nice cup of hot chocolate." That's not the point. Is as this is, in all of its messiness and its finishedness, what could I be grateful for? And that, I think, is a really good thing, a really useful exercise, not just for gratitude, but for all of those positive emotions that maybe we're not used to feeling. So yeah.
And sometimes it's like, focus on the mundane first, and then all the other things will flood in.
Yeah, because the mundane can be totally extraordinary depending on your perspective.
Yeah, that reminds me of, did you ever have those perspective pictures? I don't know if they were called that, but they were like,
oh, magic eye.
Oh, no, not quite those, but no, like a perspective of, like, it was just a photograph, and they would, what do you think? And like, what was the actual perspective of this? And then we'd talk about it for like 10 minutes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And the next one would pop up, and here's another perspective of the same
Yes,
thing.
yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. So different viewpoints almost.
Yeah. And it's almost like that's why misunderstandings happen, is because they don't know what that feels like. If they don't know what boundaries feel like, they don't know what boundaries are, then they're not going to respect the ones that you have unless you hold them.
Yes.
And that's, so all the things that are in there is like, the one thing I'd say, be diligent in having what you want, like knowing what you want and having what you want, and really practicing having what you want.
Yeah, very much so.
And that way your body gets familiar with it, and then it draws it towards you, instead of this like, I'm uncomfortable in a really negative way and very contracted around what you want.
Yeah. And I think that's really something that needs a little bit of practice for most people, me included. I mean, because we write these desire lists and I know what I want, but it's not really what you want. It's what you've been told you should want.
I want that purple iPhone.
Yeah. Well,
I want the purple iPhone, the nice car, the nice house.
Yeah. And you've got to sort of really think to yourself, okay, that's, and I'm not dissing, you know, having those things, that's fine. But, and making sure that it's coming from a place of, that's what I really want, not what I have been programmed by the outside world to want. And even, and this is the thing though, even when you realize you've been programmed by the outside world to want it, you can still want it. There's nothing to say that you can't want it, but be very clear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, be very clear on what you want, and letting go of how it will manifest.
Yeah. So one thing that's quite funny is on the Saturday, my husband sort of gave me a choice of all these things that I could go and buy for my birthday. So he never really knows what to buy me as a present for my birthday. And another one of my love languages is gifts. So he knows that I will expect a gift. And he gave me this whole little list of all these things. And I had been, so I've had the very first style Apple. I'm an Apple girl. Okay, I admit it. I'm sorry. I love Apple and all their products, most of their products. I just find them easy. They do everything that they need to do, and that's good for me. So anyhow, I have had this Apple Watch, and it's like really one of the really old ones. And I never wear it. It sits charging on the station, never touch the thing. And I've been looking at it and thinking, you know, if it had a longer battery life, that would be great, because then I don't have to, I put it on and then, you know, by the afternoon it's dead. So you're just wearing this dead thing on your wrist, and like, yeah, whatever. It no longer serves its purpose as a watch. I'm very clumsy. So I'm always really scared of scratching it or nicking it or, you know, bashing it, because I'm super clumsy. And what was the other thing? Yeah, so basically it needs, what I'd always wanted was an indestructible Apple Watch that has a long battery life. And I've just given up looking at them. My daughter bought one recently, and I'm just like looking at it thinking, yeah, that would last me a day, and it would be busted and battery dead within the days. It's not going to last. And I don't do anything extreme, by the way. I'm no longer an extreme sport person. I literally just walk around the house and I destroy stuff. So
that is a very odd image. Do you still have your microwave?
Pardon?
You still have your microwave?
I do, but I have nearly blown that up several times. I've set bins on fire. I mean, you don't put this on a rental agreement. Let me tell you, never write something like that. The house is good. The house is good. But back to that. So I've been thinking about this for years, you know. So it's really cool to have an indestructible blah blah blah. And so one of the things on the list was the new Apple Watch, the Ultra, the rugged one. And the other thing on the list, which will be another time, is the Harry Potter Lego exclusive set. That's a must, because it's got Hedwig and a wand and everything. It's awesome. So these were my choices, and I was very tempted towards the Harry Potter Hedwig, but but I came across the Apple Watch, and it has a 36-hour battery life. It is made out of titanium with a crystal, like, watch display thingy that can't be scratched. Basically, it is the indestructible Shirley Apple Watch. I think they should rename it. It should not be called the Ultra anymore. It should be called the indestructible Shirley watch. And yeah, so I got that. But I found it so interesting that, like, 2 months ago when my daughter bought her watch, this hadn't come out yet. But it came out now, ready just for me. And yes, I have bought into the you should have it, but I hadn't seen any adverts for it. I didn't even know it existed until Tom said to me, would you like one of these? And I'm like, ooh, all of my asks have been taken into account here.
That's funny.
Yeah. And yes, this is it. In bright yellow. None of these subtle colors. No.
Yeah, it's like brushed, or what do they call it? Space gray.
Yeah, no. There was all these very subtle colors, and I'm like, I'll have the bright yellow one.
The bright yellow one. All right. That's cool.
So, the whole point of that is sometimes you're actually asking for something. You have to notice when it's been brought, and it can take years sometimes for our asks to come through.
Yeah, it really can. And it's pretty funny that sometimes it's like, that'll never happen. If that enters your brain, do some belief work on that.
Well, that came through on the course, was what was it? Release the fear that you're asking too much. Very interesting message that came through. And I recall myself constantly going, yeah, that's enough. And there is a real fine line between being comfortable. It's like, it can only be so full, and being okay with asking for more without it being a need for more.
Yeah. So why not just have it because you want it?
Yeah.
And what a great job.
Oh, my God, brain going, boo. Why not just have it because you want it?
Right. I mean, it's okay to want things. Every once in a while I watch this guy named Dave Ramsey. He's like, I want you to have nice stuff. I just don't want your nice stuff to have you.
That's really cool. That is really cool. I like
He's
that.
all about getting people out of financial struggles and all that sort of stuff, but distilled into a very simple thing is like, I want your nice stuff, you to have your nice stuff, not your nice stuff to have you. There's a subtle difference between wanting it because you just want it, and the other part is like wanting it because I need more. Yeah,
I think if you're living in that energy, you're not in joy.
Right.
If you're constantly going, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, you're not living in joy, because joy doesn't need. Joy just is.
Yeah, and that floaty feeling of like, for me, joy is like this very restful feeling. It's not a yearning, it's not anything, it's just kind of like a let go point of like, I'm happy with what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Oh, that's lovely. So I have been promising to try and keep these short for those watching. We are around 44 minutes, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's
Do we
pretty
have
cool.
some practical tips for these guys around, or even some downloads? I mean, maybe we can do some downloads for them. I'll have a few.
Mhm.
So for those of you who don't know what that is, in Theta Healing, we connect to the energy of all that is, whether you like to call it source energy, the universe, your deep subconscious, whatever that is for you, that's what we're connecting to, where it's literally full of possibility, expansion, and pure love. And then we ask for like a program to be downloaded so that we can have it in our lives, in every part of our lives. So those are what the downloads are. And because of everyone having free choice, free agency, in order for that to be brought in for you, when we say these, you would need to say yes, because otherwise it's just like someone doing something to you. And that's not how it works. It's something that is co-created and that you have full rights to say no. That, you know, that's really, really important, I feel. So here we go. We're going to do some downloads and then we'll do some tips. What do you reckon, Stacey?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so go for it.
All right, start out with very simple. Have creator's perspective, definition, understanding, feeling, knowing, and isness of joy itself.
Yes.
And not only that, making space for joy. So why don't we just clear out any blocks blocking there being space for joy and expansiveness in your life in the highest and best way.
Oh, yes. And for all of the receptors that may have been suppressed, shut down, can we ask for creator to help you actually open those up? So that's for the body and for the being, and also to multiply them. So however many receptors there were to joy, now that those are opened up, to multiply and add more receptors for every type of joy, all the flavors, all of the smells, all of the sensations of joy to be opened for you.
And then on every level, every aspect of self knows what the spice of life feels like in the highest and best way, with ease and
grace. And also to know how to and feel all of the different ways that joy comes in, that joy and love comes in. I'm getting. So sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's very peaceful, sometimes it's still, sometimes it's active, sometimes it's an experience that brings in learning, how to actually experience all of those through joy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So, well, those ones, I think that will be plenty. Now you can actually repeat those. It's quite it's simple but deep joy. And one of my exercises that we just spoke about is the gratitude exercise. I think that really helps to start that process off, is looking at and do it for joy. So look at everything in your life, you know, maybe pick one thing a day, you know, how could I feel joy for this? Because it may be an experience that you're going through. It may not feel so great. And the response that you get to that may be let it go. Or you'll get other information. I think that's a very a very useful exercise, and it will really, I hope, highlight for you the things that are in your life that don't need to be, and the things that you could have more of.
Yeah. And one of the best tips that I've had is really sitting with something, and try to get rid of the positive and negative, just what is, whether externally you like this situation or not. What is this situation showing you? That's very key. But also, when it comes to positive feelings, sit in the positive feelings. And when it comes to the other side of things, sit in the feelings and learn what's there so you can release it.
Yes.
And more space for the positive feelings.
Very much so. And we've talked actually a lot about accepting the feelings that aren't so great, because there's so much like toxic positivity around. But there is both sides.
Yeah, that reminds me of the dog that's in the burning building. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Know when to get out of the building, guys.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for that. That was super fun as always. I hope that was useful and helpful for anybody who's going to be watching this live, or who has been watching this live, or who will be watching this on replay. As always, I will upload this to YouTube as well. This is talk show 4, so we're doing good. We don't know how long these are going to run for, by the way. We're just taking it as it comes, getting the messages of what to do as a when. And as always, if there's any comments, if there's anyone who wants to particularly hear about a certain topic, either put it in the comments or message one of us. We're both super happy to hear from you. And also, we've been talking about various classes and that kind of thing. If there's a class you'd like us to put on, anything like that, just message us and we will take a look at it, see if it's what we want, and take it from there.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
so I'm going to stop streaming. Bye, everyone.